The anti-abortion bill was just one of dozens of bills that lawmakers passed ahead of a legislative deadline. eCapitol News Director Sean Ashley has more on what was a very busy week at the Capitol.
Very busy indeed.
Thank you for being with us, Sean.
You're very welcome.
So I understand this was the last week for bills to be passed, but a lot fell by the wayside?
That's correct. Thursday was the deadline for bills to be heard in their chamber of origin. Senate bills in the Senate, House bills in the House. We went into this period with about 800 pieces of legislation eligible for consideration. When all is said and done, it looks like more than 150 to 175 of those did not make it through this period. Some of those, a good number of them, simply were not heard. Either the member decided that now was not the time to move forward with that piece of legislation, or perhaps it needed more work. A number of other bills, however, simply failed on the floor of the House and the Senate, particularly in the Senate. We saw a number of bills on a long day on Wednesday that failed, and again on Thursday. One of those, for example, was Senator Josh Burkeen's measure that was a preemptive measure that would prevent local municipalities and local governments from enacting anti-discrimination ordinances that were broader than what the state has allowed. Not only did the bill fail when it was considered on the floor, when he attempted to have it reconsidered so that perhaps he could save it for next year, that vote also failed. As a result of that, it appeared Senator Joseph Silk pulled a measure that was an individual conscience act that would allow businesses, for example, based on their strongly held religious beliefs, to say that they would not serve certain individuals or groups. He pulled that measure, so it remains alive and could be heard next year. But really, this was a culling out period, and a lot of bills fell by the wayside.
Sounds like a lot of controversial bills at that.
Very true.
An important issue here in Oklahoma are teacher pay raises. I understand there's a measure on the table that could provide some relief.
Well, it appears that may be the case. House Speaker Charles McCall, a Republican from Atoka, has indicated that he has a plan that would provide up to $312 million that could be used for teacher pay. That would fund the House's 1, 2, 3 teacher pay program. However, Thursday when he spoke with reporters, he did not go into specifics. He said he had spoken with the governor's office about it, and he had spoken with Senate leadership about it, but he had yet to speak to rank and file Republicans in the House. So he was reluctant to release details of that. So we really don't know what's involved. Earlier in the week in the Senate, Senator Gary Stanislawski won approval of Senate Bill 618, the House's version of a pay increase for teachers. It would provide a 4% increase each 2 years. However, it does not have a funding mechanism either. Senator Stanislawski proposed that perhaps they could look at raising the fuel tax and giving that money to transportation, which would then free up other tax revenues to pay for the teacher pay plan. But again, that is not tied directly to the bill which won approval in the Senate.
That's exhausting, Sean.
It is indeed.
And something even more exhausting is our budget.
That's right. On Thursday, we saw the House Appropriations and Budget subcommittees all meet simultaneously to discuss what would happen to various agencies if they were cut 14.5%. This was a number suggested by House Appropriations and Budget Chairwoman Leslie Osborne some weeks ago if you held common education harmless and then funded the first year of the teacher pay plan with existing revenues. The stories told were quite concerning. At the same time, the House Democrats outlined a plan of their own to balance the budget that would increase the gross production tax, add some changes to the income tax system to tax higher earners, as well as a few other tax changes that they say would fill the nearly $900 million hole and make it possible for the state to fully fund government services. A lot to be worked out, though.
All right, we'll look forward to hearing more from you, Sean. Thank you for being with us.
You're very welcome.